there was this evening after school where I walked home and, cold weather really triggered sickle cell anemia, and that night I went home, I had a stroke. A sickle cell is a blood deficiency to where your blood cells are all oval in most bodies, but in my bodies they're sickle cell shaped. So as I become more active and move around, my blood starts flowing, and those crescent shaped moon cells will kind of get clogged up in my veins, and those will cause fatigue, exhaustion, and God forbid a stroke. If I had to guess how many times I've been in the hospital, I would say, if we're counting blood transfusions and being there all day long, I would say over 100. When it comes to actually being hospitalized and being in the hospital for a couple of weeks, I'd say somewhat pushing 20. I actually have a blood transfusion today. It was a little cold out and a little rainy, and cold weather really triggers sickle cell anemia, and that night I went home, I had a stroke, and my parents had to call the ambulance to come get me from our home, and it was kind of terrifying. There was a lot of residual effects from that stroke. I lost parts of my vision due to retinal occlusions, and from that moment on, I just kind of knew my life was majorly different than a lot of my classmates, friends, and other family members as well. With my sickle cell, there's been so many other deficiencies that have come with it. I have a protein C deficiency. I have a clot in my superior vena cava, which again, I go through so much, but I try not to think about it in that grand scheme. I try to think about, all the things that I'm grateful for that I have, rather than all the things that I go through with my sickle cell. But the clot in my superior vena cava causes my neck to swell up a little bit, and there's actually some leakage within my veins to where the blood flow doesn't flow correctly, and it's overflowing in some veins, and some of those veins are leaking. And so recently I just got a Plerex catheter, which is the worst thing I've ever had in my life with my sickle cell, but again, I just keep on going. I have to drain myself every day with that excess fluid that's built up in my lungs. Without this catheter, I'll have shortness of breath. I can't move around as normally as I would, and that's because the fluid is dwelling in my lower lungs, and so once it builds up all the way, it causes my lungs not to inflate correctly as I breathe in. As far as building my life with my relationship and whoever I choose to marry and have children with, I am very cognizant of if they have sickle cell anemia or not. This is definitely not something I'd ever want to pass down to my child going forward. I pray for my mom every day because she had to watch me go through all the pain and suffering of having sickle cell while she was just sitting there with the trait being healthier than I could ever be. As I become an adult, I've kind of figured out a way for my life to work with sickle cell and not let it get the best of me. It's always a monkey on my back, but at the same time, it's something that I know I can manage with great doctors and great support around me. My mom's a woman of God, and every time I call her, she's always praying for me. Good health, good friends, good work experiences, all the things, a mother would wish for her child. So for me, I don't call it luck. I just know that, God has my hand. I think the biggest thing I've learned throughout my journey is, everyone goes through something, whether it's, the way you think you look, or whether it's medical, or, everyone goes through something, and it's really just about how you handle it.